Welcome in to Vols Society Live on this Tuesday night. My name is David Morrison. I'm the Vols Society lead analyst right here on the Vols Society Network. We are glad you're joining us tonight across our social media platforms, facebook.com/UT Vols Society, youtube.com/Vols Society, and on Twitter at Society Vol. Obviously, we're coming on a Tuesday night once again. The college football playoffs, top 25 has been revealed. And our beloved Tennessee Volunteers have indeed dropped, which we expect them to drop, to be honest. Number 5 now in the CFP top 25. So Georgia, as you see, at number 1, Ohio State number 2, Michigan number 3, TCU now at number 4, and Tennessee at number 5. So what do y'all expect? Like I said, the chat room is open. Leave your comments, questions as we go along the show. We'll talk about the top 25 as we go along. We'll also preview Missouri coming up this Saturday. And also the Lady Vols will be tipping off their season against Ohio State. So we'll give you some score updates as the show goes along. We won't be on for the entire game, but we'll be on as long as you want us to. Shout out to Timothy. Go Vols. So let's talk about this top 25. So, I guess we're going to tie in this top 25 with my Georgia reactions. So kind of just put it all in one little package here. So anyway, obviously Georgia, they came to play on Saturday, and I'm not going to sugarcoat. I'm not going to make excuses. They beat us fair and square. Give credit Georgia. They were ready to play. They wanted it bad, and we did not execute at all. They just absolutely dominate us. So, fair and square, say that. And as you see, Georgia jumped up to number 1 where we were last week. So we'll see, how Georgia does the rest of the year. They've got Mississippi State coming up on Saturday. I expect Georgia to pretty much run the table. To me, they're the best team in the nation. So there you go. As far as our game goes, to me, the big disappointing thing was the pre-snap penalties. I had a feeling that I knew we were going to get into a hostile environment with going down to Sanford Stadium. I didn't think, as far as communication goes, we would be where we were. Because we use a lot of hand signals. We rely on the sideline to bring in the plays, but the pre-snap penalties from our offensive line and our wide receivers and not being ready to play, that really hurts. And like I said, it just totally threw our game off. And Georgia's defense was elite. Throughout the first 8 games of the season, where we see Tennessee just blow by wide receivers, couldn't get into space. Georgia was ready for all of our guys whenever we called plays and dialed them up. Pretty much shut our run game down. Hendon Hooker obviously probably had the worst game in his Tennessee career. But, there's a lot of what ifs that could have happened. And just a total domination. But, hey, like I said, congratulations to Georgia. That's why they're the defending national champions. That's why, they're still undefeated, and that's why they're now the new number 1 team in this in the college football playoffs coming up. But you look at Tennessee kind of switching over from Georgia, or switching from the game to the playoffs. You look at where Tennessee's at right now, at number 5. I still think we're in a great spot right now. Right behind us at number 6 is Oregon, who's 8-1 also. Then you got LSU at 7-2. LSU's kind of always been that fly in the ointment of the college football playoffs since its existence, because they always play Alabama towards the end of the year, well, in November, and then they always get Texas A&M. Hello to my grandparents watching along. I don't expect it wouldn't shock me if LSU does go to Atlanta and plays for the SEC championship. I just don't see them getting in that top four. Even though the two teams that they've lost to, obviously us at number 5, and then Florida State has jumped into the top 25 at number 23, and LSU lost to them back in week 1 in an overtime game. I was a little concerned having Oregon at 6, but kind of hearing what Heather Dennis said on the program that she's not really concerned with Oregon behind Tennessee. She says Tennessee, and I think everybody's unanimous on ESPN talking about where you are in a good, comfortable position at number 5, and I agree with it. Obviously at number 2 and number 3, you got Ohio State, Michigan. They play the final game of the regular season, and that game is in Columbus. Obviously someone's going to have to lose that game. To me, if Michigan loses, their non-conference schedule has not been that great at all. I mean, they've played teams like Hawaii and UConn, and somebody else just slipped out of my head. I think one of the MAC teams. So they didn't get to play a Power 5 team in non-conference. Now, like I said, the Big Ten you play who's on your schedule. So I think if Michigan loses, it's going to be interesting to see where the committee, if they still want to keep them at 3 or at 4. But I think Tennessee can easily leapfrog them, even if the loss to Ohio State. I think right now Georgia and Ohio States are pretty much kind of locks into the playoffs. Even if we kind of look at the crystal ball down the road, then you got TCU at number 4. TCU goes to Texas on Saturday. If you're Tennessee, obviously you're rooting for the Longhorns because then you can jump back in that top 4. But like I said, I think TCU probably should have been in that top 4 last week. I kind of thought the committee disrespected us, or disrespect TCU, but now they're in there, and now we're kind of on the outside looking in. But still a lot of football to go. I think Tennessee, what they need to do is to control their destiny. Uh, you know, I think we're going to have to start curb stopping these next 3 games. Missouri, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, you got to win big. Your final 2 games of the season are on the road at South Carolina. It's going to be, a hostile environment and probably nowhere near what you saw with Georgia, but still going to be a tough road game. Vanderbilt, you're going to see more Tennessee fans there than Vanderbilt fans. I mean, it's kind of an extra home game pretty much. And then you get Missouri at home, and obviously Vol Nation's going to be ready to rock and roll. But I see Timothy saying, hey, it's been a long time since we can say we've been set aside for, and you're right. Still have a shot to go 11-1. We sit back in the preseason talking about, where do you see this Tennessee team finishing? And a lot of people said, 7-5, 8-4, 9-3. Our founder Brad said 10-2, which was kind of the ceiling. Well, right now 10-2 would look like a disappointing season. I mean, just you look at, like I said, starting out the season undefeated, going 8-0, and then you drop to Georgia, and now you have a chance to finish with double-digit win seasons in Josh Heupel's second year, and that's just exciting to see in general. I mean, there's really not much else to kind of talk about the top 5. Like I said, Tennessee just needs to go out and just dominate the next 3 weeks, and should be a lot of fun to see what this Tennessee team does. As far as Hendon Hooker and the Heisman Trophy goes, I still think he's going to go to New York. As far as winning it goes, it's still up in the air. It's just going to be interesting to see how C.J. Stroud does for Ohio State. Bo Nix is now all of a sudden becoming one of the hot quarterbacks in college football. But I still see Hendon Hooker getting to New York. May see Jalen Hyatt. Who knows? We shall see. Go ahead and pull up the Tennessee Georgia stats. Kind of jump back into that game here. Like I said, it was a 27-13 win for the Georgia Bulldogs over the Tennessee Volunteers. Hendon Hooker on the day, 23 for 33, 195 yards, 1 interception, 18 carries, 17 yards. He got sacked a bunch in the game. Just couldn't get nothing going. And, Jalen Wright lead the way as far as our running backs go, 21 carries, 69 yards. and a touchdown. Troy asked, "Did we lose anyone to injury this week?" I hadn't heard. I didn't. As a matter of fact, I also didn't get to hear Heupel's press conference. As this week I know I kind of got busy, but I hadn't heard anything. I'm kind of looking really quick here. Let me. So, yeah, I mean everything is pulling up is from the Georgia game. So right now it looks like nothing. But if anything changes, we'll let y'all know. Uh, Receiving wise, Cedric Tillman led the way, 7 catches, 68 yards. Uh, so seems good to see Tillman coming back. Jalen Hyatt, 6 catches, 63 yards, still averaging 10 yards a catch. I mean, that's crazy to think. Brew McCoy, 6 catches, 38 yards. I mean, like I said, these are not the big explosive numbers that we've seen week after week after week. Uh, but, I thought Tennessee in the second half made a little bit of changes. But like I said, this Georgia defense just absolutely just manhandled us. Uh, let's see. Troy said it was really short to the point. He even made a joke about it being so short. Okay. Nice. Uh, very much so. And I'll give Georgia, and like I said, yeah, I mean, there's not much that we can talk about. Like I said, my overall thoughts was, it was disappointing to see that, but looking at the silver lining, where we are so far this season, still have a chance to go 11-1, still have a outside shot in the playoffs. Uh, and this is still going to be a great season, no matter what happens the rest of the way, unless we just think implode the next 3 weeks. But hopefully not. Uh, what are y'all thoughts? Any other questions or comments? Like I said about the playoffs or about the game coming up or the Georgia game, gladly answer along the way. Go ahead and get up Missouri stats here. I'm kind of a little discombobulated here. Nothing for y'all. Let's see y'all. All right, so looking ahead to Missouri coming up on Saturday. The Tigers are 4-5 on the year. 2-4 in SEC play. They've improved somewhat throughout this season. But like I said, I still think Tennessee's got a great shot of winning this game. Brady Cook on the year, over 1,700 yards passing, 6 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So hopefully we can he can throw a couple more interceptions our way. Leading rusher for the Tigers, Cody Schrader, 510 yards on the ground, 5 touchdowns. Nathan Pete, 87 carries for 387 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Brady Cook's a little bit of a dual threat guy. So Jared Wright checking in, saying getting behind the chains with pre-snap penalties made it hard for the offense to get in rhythm. Absolutely. I mean, I remember seeing during the broadcasts on CBS when they were doing the big whip around sky cam, they showing the decibel numbers, and it was like 125 decibels, and I mean that's Neyland Stadium loud right there. So obviously, Sanford Stadium, a smaller stadium than Neyland Stadium, by I think almost 10,000 seats, but still enough to bring a lot of noise. And Jared's right, pre-snap penalties just absolutely killed us. Get some more viewers coming in. Got some give you shout outs to Jared and Jeff watching along. Shout out to Brian leaving us Facebook reactions. Kind of a busy Tuesday night across our nation. I think everybody knows why. But we're not a political show. But yeah, like I said, got Missouri coming up on Saturday. I feel very confident about this game. I'll give you my score prediction on the podcast on Thursday when I have Brad on and David Dees. But I expect it to be a pretty big win. I expect this Tennessee team to bounce back, put up big numbers. You're back home. It's senior day. Should be, obviously an emotional day for players playing in their final game at Neyland Stadium. But it's got to we got to get back to business as usual. We've cleared all three big rival games. We went 2-1 in the three big games that we want to win. Now you got some smooth waters along the way. Columbia is going to be uh, a little bit of a hostile trip, but I feel very confident as far as beating Shane Beaver goes. Go back to more of your comments. Troy says they adjusted very well. We will continue to work and make adjustments for a coach and wipe ourselves off and be better. He was very positive toward our team. Yeah, absolutely. Just business as usual. Get back to business, back to square one. Put up some big numbers, and like I said, the national media's kind of looked away at Tennessee somewhat. We were the darlings for 8 weeks, and now Georgia is. But now, I think we'll just get back to business as usual and get back to put up big numbers and hopefully play some defense. Dwayne says, "What's up, Go Vols?" What's up, Dwayne? Thank you for tuning in. Candace says, "Go Big Orange." They got this. I think so. 11-1, like I said, still got a shot to at least get into the college football playoffs. Maybe playing Georgia again. Maybe down in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl or the Fiesta Bowl. Be a neutral site environment, so crowd split 50-50 either way. And obviously that Ohio State, Michigan, obviously if the season ended today, they'd be playing in the playoffs, but obviously, one of those teams, well, I don't know. I shouldn't say they wouldn't make it. They could, but we shall see. Any others? The questions, comments. Like I said, I still think Tennessee is right there on the thick of things as far as still making the playoffs go. I think just Ohio State, Michigan, and we'll see how TCU does Saturday against the Longhorns. You just never know what Texas, if you get good Texas or bad Texas. So, like I said, Oregon, I wouldn't say Oregon's a concern, but they're playing better. They're right behind us. But if they run the table and win the Pac-12 championship, it seems like this committee is still playoff committee still loves us more than the Ducks. So be a lot of fun. Any others? Pull up more stats here. Go ahead and read you kind of where we are stat-wise as far as our football team goes. Our founder Brad's in saying big go Vols. Got the yep, Timothy. We did we ended a 15 drought against Bama. Absolutely, it was a great night. So here's where Tennessee stands right now. Going into the Missouri game, Hendon Hooker on the year, 2,500 yards passing, 2,533 to be exact, 21 touchdowns, now 2 interceptions. Unfortunately, his sack total really went up, 18 sacks on the year for negative 92 yards. But a lot of that had to do with Saturday. But still, Hendon Hooker looks great. Rushing wise, 355 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns. So already 25 total touchdowns on the year. Brad says, mark my words, Vols will be in the playoffs. I think so too. Jalen Wright, 547 yards on the ground so far this season, 6 touchdowns. Jabari Small, 483 with 8 touchdowns. Dylan Sampson, 34 carries, 166 yards, 4 touchdowns on the year himself. And then we'll get to the receivers here. Dwayne says, I think Tennessee will win now, and they will be in the college playoffs. I totally agree with that, Dwayne. I really think at this point, like I said, main thing we need to do is just go out there and just dominate teams. We got to dominate Missouri, got to dominate South Carolina, got to dominate Vanderbilt. And I think we got a great shot to do all 3 of them. Stat to kind of watch out for this Saturday, Jalen Hyatt now 970 yards receiving, so 30 yards away from getting 1,000 yards on the year. So I think he'll get that on Saturday. 14 touchdowns, which leads the way for everybody. Brew McCoy closing in on 500 yards on the year. He's at 489. Only 2 touchdowns. I thought he had a little bit more than that. And then Ramel Keaton, 357. He's third in the team with receiving yards, which now Tillman's coming back. Brad says, call me crazy, but I think the loss will do them well. I think it was a wake-up call, and you're going to see them crush every team left this season. I agree. As a matter of fact, I think ESPN said that even with the loss to Georgia, our odds of making the college football playoffs actually improved, which you're thinking, how can that improve? And, how can your odds improve? You lost. Well, you don't have to play an Alabama or an LSU, which we didn't know what happened with Alabama. We'll get to that Alabama LSU game in just a second. But it's like, you had the West that was so dominant, and you could have said, well, if Alabama would have won over LSU, Tennessee will have to play Alabama again, and they won the first time, yada, yada, yada. But now we don't have to worry about that. Unfortunately, we don't get to go to Atlanta for the SEC championship. But now we're, like I said, still can make the SEC or still make the college football playoffs. And matter of fact, we could probably still play in Atlanta. Yeah, Charlie says, I believe you're right, Brad. I get the feeling it lit a fire. Yeah, absolutely. Timothy says he agreed with Brad. Brad said, our boys had a bad game. Big deal. It happens, but I promise you that loss opened their eyes and they will be ready. I hope so too. I truly believe that. Yeah, I mean, you look at just the grand scheme of things of, and I'm sound like I'm repeating myself, but you look at the grand scheme of things of what Tennessee needs to do, and obviously you want to see Georgia kind of run, dominate, which they got a very easy schedule. They got, I'm trying to remember who they got off the top of my head. Oh, they got Mississippi State on Saturday, Western Kentucky, and Georgia Tech left on their schedule. Very easy, winnable games. We still got 3 SEC games now. Granted, we're taking on some of the bottom teams in the SEC, but still, I think our strength of schedule, especially at the tail end, is better than Georgia's at this point. Let's see. Troy says y'all need to watch Saban's Monday's press conference. That was a furious man. Yeah, absolutely. Brett says poor old enemy Saban. Steven says someone had told you before the season started that UT would be 8-1 at this point. What would you have said? I would have been said, sign me up, Steven. I'll take 8-1 at this point. So everybody's kind of talking about Alabama, so we'll go ahead and talk about their game. LSU won over Alabama, 32-31, and after the disappointing loss to Georgia, this was almost a present for Vol fans in general, just to see Alabama lose on the road to LSU. I know I've talked about Alabama's road struggles and on the year, barely escaped Texas with a win. You end up, you were down to Arkansas at one point, which then you came back and dominated and won that one, or they won that one. They struggled with Texas A&M, but that was a home game. And then they lost at Tennessee, and now they lost at LSU. And then they got another road game going down to take on Ole Miss on Saturday. And for those who are curious, Alabama is now number 9 in the college football playoffs at 7-2. Obviously, not going to make it into the college football playoff. Matter of fact, it's kind of apropos, if you will, to see. For years we've seen since the playoffs started, Alabama and Clemson always right next to each other at 1-2 or 2-3. Well, now they're right beside each other again at 9-10. So it's just how the mighty have fallen, at least in 2022, with Alabama and Clemson both hanging on the top 10. And they'll probably still make a New Year's Six bowl game, but man. Absolutely. Brad says, how about Clemson getting exposed? Knew that was coming. Oh, I knew it was coming too. I mean, the ACC in general is just definitely the worst of the Power Five conferences. I know everybody talks about the Pac-12, and the Pac-12's had its problems, but Pac-12 is actually coming to play this year with Oregon and Utah and USC and Washington now on the top 25. But Clemson, they got that win. They had that quality win over Wake Forest, or their opinion, the quality wins over Wake Forest and Syracuse. Now they're both out of the top 25. Syracuse was undefeated at one point. Now they've lost three in a row. Um, NC State's kind of their only claim to doing something, I guess, and that's a good NC State team. But man, I mean, the ACC is really falling down, and Clemson being the leader has not really propelled them nowhere near. I mean, they'll still make the Orange Bowl, being as the ACC champions, but I mean, Clemson, my goodness, yeah, and like I said, they got exposed, and I mean, DJ's not even the quarterback now; it's the freshman. So, any others? Yeah, I agree with you, Timothy, on that one. Yeah, but I mean, it was just like I said, it was just a nice surprise or a a good relief to see what LSU did, and then Notre Dame dominating over Clemson. Just, who would have knew where we would have been tonight? I mean, probably wouldn't have been far down, but if hindsight 2020, if Alabama would have won and Clemson would have won, I mean, I don't think the Clemson game would have probably mattered too much, but the Alabama game could have been very interesting. But now we don't have to worry about that. And like I said, we're kind of on the waiting board to get first class. If I had to borrow uh, uh, Jimmy Dykes' March Madness jumbo jet plane. We're still in first class, or maybe business class, waiting to be upgraded to first class, if you will. um, but any others? What was your impression of this entire Saturday of college football? I mean, it was a great Saturday. We've seen some great games. I know our game was disappointing overall, especially hyped up as the game of the year. But what was your overall thoughts of just kind of the tail end of our game, and then going to see what happened with LSU and Alabama? Let's see. Okay, Dwayne says I believe TCU. I believe TCU lost against Texas. We'll lose to Texas this weekend. It's going to be a great game to see what's going to happen. Texas is one of these teams that you just never know what you're going to expect to see week in and week out. Uh, that would definitely help us out, obviously. So we're going to be big Texas Longhorn fans this weekend to get back in there. But yeah, should be interesting. I mean, TCU's had a great season, and I'll give them credit. Hey, they deserve to be in the playoff discussion as us. Uh, and but like I said, I think we probably deserve it a little bit more, and I'm gonna be a little biased on that. Troy says, "Do you know of the five-star recruit decommitted from A&M, and do you think we have need a shot at him?" I saw something at the gym yesterday, Troy. They had CBS Sports on in my gym, and I caught a glance at it, but I forgot to go back and catch up on it. But you're going to see a lot of five-star recruits, in my opinion, that's committed to Texas A&M, and even current players on Jimbo's staff that was part of that number one recruiting class. I think is going to either number one decommit from A&M, or number two hit the transfer portal. Now, I'm not saying like a Walter Nolan or whoever's going to hit the transfer portal, but there's going to be some major shakeups down in Aggie land. I mean, they were promised a lot of stuff, and here they are at what, 3-5, 3-6 on the year right now, 3-6, and yeah, they thought they were going to be in our spot, and it's gone completely sour. Russ says, "I thought you were hitting the gym up. You look buff, dude. Thank you. I'm more cardio than the weights. I'm not a weight person, but I every once in a while will." Um, let's see here. Brad also said before my hit this gym comment. we play them again, I think we have a different game. Nothing against Georgia though. Great team. Yeah, it's going to be. It's going to be if we do happen to meet again, it's going to be a great game. It's obviously going to be a neutral site game. So you'll have some crowd noise, but you do have that 50-50 crowd. So communication should be a lot better and familiarity. But Georgia and Kirby Smart, they're going to be ready to play, and it's going to be a tough. It's going to be a tough game to either way. But like I said, you know, I don't see it being a dominating game. Aaron says, hello, shout out to Aaron. Hear me out. Offensive play calling was awful. Josh is no fool. I don't think he knew Clemson and Bama would lose that night, but he knew it would be much easier to make the playoff, avoiding the SEC championship. They didn't run a single blitz beater, no screens, no draws, no counters, no hot routes. He's smarter than that. He didn't lose on purpose, but didn't try very hard to win. Just my opinion. Yeah. Hey, and appreciate your opinion there, Aaron. Some of that I agree with. I was talking to a high school football coach in the area, and we're kind of talking about this game too. He was surprised to see that we went for the blitz early on the first quarter, and Stetson Bennett went around the right side and scored the touchdown very easily. And he was surprised that they didn't go back to him again. They just kind of folded and played a little bit more man to man, or played some only blitz 3 or rush 3. So, and you're right. And same way, the screens and the draws and the counters, we felt like we were kind of at times trying to throw everything against the wall to beat Georgia. But like I said, Georgia's defense just completely shut down our entire offensive game, and we just really couldn't get out of neutral throughout the whole game. And Brad agrees with Aaron what he was saying. Um, and also, yeah, you're probably right. Avoiding the SEC championship, yeah, it'd been awesome to get down to Atlanta and winning that championship. But like I said, maybe this is the easier route for Tennessee. Like I said, even the committee still has faith in us, putting us at number 5. Like I said, we know Ohio State and Michigan are playing the last game of the season, regular season, the Saturday after Thanksgiving. TCU, they still got Texas on Saturday, and I think they got Baylor left on their schedule, and I can't remember who their last game is for Thanksgiving. They change it around every year in the Big 12. Georgia's going to have a cakewalk into Atlanta, and then whether it's LSU or Ole Miss that they play, they're pretty much locked in. Even maybe a loss to an LSU or an Ole Miss, which I don't see that happening. Troy says, I think our coach is spoon feeding our success, and there are bigger things ahead. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think Josh is definitely looking at the forest beyond the trees. Better things coming for sure. Absolutely. Speaking of better things for success, Tennessee picked up a commitment today. 4-star, I think he's a defensive lineman, Vazine Lane, committed to the Volunteers today. I did see that before going on the air. Vazine Lane was pretty much locked to come to Tennessee for a while, and officially announced his commitment. And so another big recruit for Josh Heupel and the Vols. He's in the 2023 class. And I need to get back in more looking at recruiting again since seasons kind of went along. I've kind of put it on the back burner. Yeah, so we'll get that going pretty soon. Heupel is ridiculously smart. That's from Brad. Trust in this guy, folks. Probably agrees. Yeah. Tellingly smart. What Josh Heupel is, and yeah, like I said, still some bigger fish to fry along the way. Like I said, I'm excited to see. I'll be at the game on Saturday for Tennessee Mizzou. Excited to see how this team responds back after that loss to Georgia. I think this is a very winnable game. I think Tennessee could easily win this game by 3 touchdowns. I know Missouri has improved a lot, but I think this team is hungry to get back in the win column, to show the playoff committee, hey, don't forget about us. I know you're not, but here's what we've done so far. And I'm excited to see this rest of this season play along. Like I said, we're not out of it by no means. I mean, yeah, obviously we wanted to kind of run the table, but like our viewer said earlier, who would have thought we'd be 8-1 on election day, if you will. Yeah, sign me up for that. Uh, get some more shout outs here. Shout out to Pam, Detroit, Aaron, uh, for the reaction. Brad says we are just getting started, baby. Absolutely excited. Like I said, I'm excited to see, like I said, obviously the rest of this season, but just the future in general. And this off season is going to be a lot of fun too. It's obviously you're going to hear a lot of coaches' names kind of be coming up for coaching openings, and uh, for even as assistant coaches. And I think Josh Heupel's locked in for a while. But it's going to be interesting to see kind of where if this coaching staff stays intact. If they stay intact, sky's the limit, my friends. It's on, and I can't wait for 2023. And obviously, I'm still excited about 2023. But yeah, if it was kind of like nobody leaves, yeah, we're ready to go. Obviously, we're going to lose Hendon Hooker next year, but hey, Joe Milton. I'm excited about having Joe Milton be our starting quarterback. Should be. I mean, I'm ready to rock and roll with Joe. And you're going to have Jalen Wright back. Yeah, you're going to may lose your top 3 receivers. Well, I don't know. Bruce should be back. I take that back. But even Brew coming back, and then you got the freshman emerging at wide receivers. Squirrel White, I'm excited about. I can't wait to see how Heupel is just going to progress his offense going forward. Candace says, yeah, these other 3 games are going to be cakewalks. Yeah, I totally agree, Candace. Like I said, I expect to see a very aggressive Tennessee team, a very aggressive Josh Heupel team. Go out there, put up some big numbers, and I think Josh Heupel knows what's in front of him as far as the playoffs go. You know, he's a younger coach. He's been in this playoff era as far as mainly as assistant coach and I guess a head coach. But like I said, this is he knows what he needs to do to get this team into the top 4, and I think this coaching staff does too. Uh, just very exciting. Troy says, I didn't realize Squirrel is so darn fast, like really fast. Yes. I'm excited about Squirrel White. I mean, from what he's done so far this year, he's done a great job. Yeah. I'm excited about this kid. I can't wait for him to really break out on his own. Hopefully he can get in the special teams game. I don't know. D. Williams is actually doing a great job as far as our punt returner goes. I wish we could put. I know this is crazy thinking, but I would love to have D. Williams returning punts for my Titans, and we'll put Squirrel White returning for the Vols because Robert Woods ain't doing nothing. But that's another show. Jared says getting back to UT being wide receiver. Absolutely. You look at I mean you could even go back to when Butch Jones was here, having guys like and our previous coach, having like Marquez Callaway, Josh Palmer, Juwan Jennings, and now you're trickling on to Cedric Tillman and Brew McCoy and Jalen Hyatt. I mean, and I can't wait to see like Squirrel White be a part of that, or Chaz Nimrod, or Cam White. This wide receiver core is just exciting to watch. Timothy says, I believe our best game was Bama. I would probably say, as far as all 3 phases of the game, Timothy, I would say LSU, but definitely as far as the moment and the excitement of the fan base, yes. Definitely Bama. Brad says we was brick by bricking it. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of them bricks kind of fell down. Somebody asked about Princeton Fant. Here he is. He is listed as a senior, but I think he's still got his COVID year if he wants to come back. The extra year of with COVID is still kind of confusing because it's hard to keep up. But he's listed as a senior, but I think he can still come back for his COVID year. Kind of confident on that. So uh, we'll see with that. I know we got Ethan Davis coming in as a tight end, which I know he had an injury back in the summer, didn't get to play his high school senior year, so he should be okay by the time he rolls into summer camp. Uh, Troy says, "Yeah, my son has 2 years of baseball because of COVID." Yeah, it's uh, yeah, it was a yeah, it was a terrible time, but yeah, the having the extra years of eligibility, it helps to a certain degree. That's why Hendon Hooker and Stetson Bennett are 24, 25 years old because of that. And we saw Fulke took his extra year, and golly, when we look like he's about 35 by the time he left our basketball program. But yeah, and it's just kind of where these athletes are at this point. The ones that was in college when that all happened. Um, anyways, any other questions or comments? I'll go ahead and say what y'all score predictions. I'm going to give mine, and Brad's going to give his on Thursday on the podcast. But what y'all score prediction for Saturday, Tennessee and Florida? Hit. Let's fill this chat box up here, the comments here, whether you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. And thank you for all tuning in so far. I still think we're going to win by 3 touchdowns, maybe even more. First one from Troy says Vols 52, Mizzou 7. Woo! I would take that. I'll take that, Troy. Yeah, I mean, if our defense can force Brady Cook to throw some bad passes, it's gonna be ugly. Brad says Vols by 50. Absolutely. Dwayne says 50-21 Tennessee. Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm probably in that same area there, Dwayne. Jared says, light up the scoreboard. Vols 45, Mizzou 7. I'll take that too. Uh, a lot of big time blowouts. Matter of fact, I was at the Tennessee Missouri game 10 years ago in 2012, where Mizzou beat us in I think 4 overtimes or whatever. But that's in the past. Georgia had to. Timothy says, I believe we will show Georgia how to take care of Missouri. I hope so too, Timothy. Yeah, this is the same Missouri team that took the number 1 team in the nation, the unanimous number 1 team in the nation, had a lead in the 4th quarter, and then they came back and won. So that would be even better. Any other score predictions so far? Only 1 by 4. Yeah. Yeah. I think we're going to win more than 4. I think we're going to win more than 14. We may end up winning more than 24. Yeah, got you, right. Yeah, I think it's going to be it's going to be a fun game on Saturday. Any other questions or comments on this Tuesday night? Give you a Lady Vols score update. They're playing Ohio State right now. If I remember how to spell Lady Vols on Google. Here we go. Pulling it up here. Why is it not telling me? Okay, I'll get back to you in a minute. Shout out Troy Go Lady Vols. Why is this not pulling up here? Oh, here we go. 4:41 to go, first quarter. Lady Vols leading Ohio State 12-11. Down in Columbus, like I said, they're playing right now on the Big Ten Network. So if you have that channel, good for you. Brad says, thank you to our fans again. We have gained another 1,000 followers since last week. Woo! Thank you guys very much. That is awesome. I think we're up almost near 25,000, I believe, on Facebook. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the live, y'all. Troy says thanks for the live, y'all. Appreciate you. Thank you, Troy, for supporting us and coming on this Tuesday night. As far as Vol Society Live goes, I'll go ahead and kind of say this. We're probably going to be eventually moving Vol Society Live to Tuesday nights. Matter of fact, we're going to move Vol Society Live on Tuesday nights throughout this college football playoff. So at least get the instant reaction. And then we'll kind of see if we like this Tuesday night format. We had a great following last week on a Tuesday night. Tonight, obviously we got a big thing going across our nation right now. But like I said, we're going to hopefully continue with this throughout on Tuesday nights and then have the podcast drop on Thursday. So a little bit of a change of the scheduling. Like I said, just to track more viewerships here. And thank you, Timothy. Hopefully everybody will appreciate it. Like I said, I know we got Josh Pate's show on Tuesday nights. Obviously, we're not going to draw Josh's numbers, but we appreciate our Vol fans tuning in. Any other questions or comments? Anyways. All right, let's see here. Brad says, David, did you see my posts on here about the Big Orange Give this Thursday? I'm an ambassador this year for the university, and we're having a fundraiser Thursday. Share the official Vol Society link on Vol Society. Love. Okay, yeah. So I think you might clear me up on this, Brad. So Thursday is the Big Orange giveaway or charity event where you can make donations. I saw that. I saw it posted. So see if I can read that again. Share the official Vol Society link on Vol Society. We'll love have our fans participate if they feel the need. I think, yeah. Okay, yes, the Big Orange giveaway this Thursday, November the 10th. So it's on our Vol Society Facebook page. We have a Vol Society link. Yeah, it's for the University of Tennessee. So if you want to donate, we will have a link through the Vol Society and help out the University of Tennessee in athletics and stuff. So, and our founder Brad is an ambassador this year, so it's an awesome job. So, thank you for mentioning that, Brad, on that. Any other questions or comments? I think we'll go ahead and kind of wrap it up here tonight. Like I said, a lot of great things going on this weekend. Tennessee, Missouri this Saturday. Okay, thank you, Brad. He says you can donate to any major organization at UT. Thank you. So yeah, it's I think it's athletics or clubs, I believe. I need to read that a little bit better. But anyways, thank you, Brad. So yeah, Tennessee, Missouri this Saturday, 12 noon Eastern time, kickoff on CBS. Tom McCartney and Rick Neuheisel will be on the call. So Brad and Gary is down in Oxford, so we'll have to not listen to them for this time. We will have Vol Society Live next Tuesday night following the college football playoff reactions. A matter of fact, I think, if I remember correctly, the Champions Classic is next Tuesday, so the playoff selection may be later than 7 o'clock. I think it's because you got college basketball on. I'll get that cleared up a little bit more better, but we may be doing a live reaction to that. But I'll share more information next week about that. Don't forget the Big Orange giveaway this Thursday. Brad's going to share it on Thursday where to donate to any major club or organization at the University of Tennessee. So we'll have that on Thursday. Speaking of Thursday, Tailgate Thursday, 5-minute college football preview with yours truly, talking about the biggest games of the week, including our Tennessee game. And then Saturday, Tennessee, Missouri, I will be there, representing Vols Society. Should be a lot of fun. Try to bring you some exclusive content on our Facebook pages in the stories section. And then we'll get ready for South Carolina next week. Should be a lot of fun. Timothy says, I wonder what bowl game we will be in right now. I mean, if you had to take a guess, a lot of people saying the Chick-fil-A Bowl with Georgia, or the Fiesta Bowl or the Sugar Bowl. It's going to be one of the New Year's Six bowls. So I'll just say that. We ain't going to go to the Florida Bowls or Birmingham or Memphis unless the bottom falls out, but I don't see it happening. But anyways, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Lady Vols leading Ohio State now 17-9 up in Columbus. I'm getting ready to hop on here and watch the end of that game. But thank you for tuning in to Vols Society Live on this Tuesday night. Tennessee, number 5 in the college football playoffs. Still got a long ways to go, but we got a great shot. Thank you for everybody tuning in. We'll talk to y'all back here next Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, right here on Vols Society Live. This has been David Morrison. Have a great night, and go Vols.